What's good, everybody? Welcome into Inside the Green Room with Danny Green. I'm Harrison Sanford. A lot to get to on this here episode of our show. But before we get into all of that, including LeBron and potentially moving on from the Lakers, before we get into potentially a work stoppage in the WNBA, and an interesting quote that we heard from one of the world's best athletes. Want to remind you guys to find us on YouTube. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit that like button. And if you're using any podcast app, particularly the Audacy app, make sure you leave us a 5-star review. It is greatly appreciated. And now for the show. Actually, before we do that, Danny, what's good, my friend? How you doing?
I'm good, bro. Baby's not here yet, but I feel like I'm out of touch with a lot what's going on. Even though I do kind of follow on social media, but I've been locked in the house. We're getting ready getting everything set up for the new one to come. So the in-laws are here. Nursery is set up. Day by day, just a waiting game, bro. But everything is good, though. What about with you? Everything cool?
Everything is smooth. I'm curious. Can you, I know it's not the same, but can you identify another time in your life where you felt like this on call? Like when you were in the G League, you're like waiting for that call from Pop. Like, all right, whenever he calls me, I'm ready to get up out of here. Like, because you're waiting for baby number 2. Is there any moment you've had that makes you think about your playing career or any moment in your life? No, obviously, it's very different, but there might be some similarities.
There's nothing like this that I can compare it to, especially when it comes to sports, because nothing happens like this. It's a lot of patience, and it's not like overnight. Like you'll get a call, then you might have to move fast, but it's not like an emergency that you have to get anywhere fast. So the only other time where I felt even more like on call, on unease, was for number 1, because we didn't know what we were going through. Like you don't know how long it takes to make a baby or to have a baby till you have one. And some people see the movies, people's water break, and it doesn't happen that fast. And you realize that after having the first one, like it took her 36 hours to get them out. So like she'll dilate or whatever. And a lot of times the water doesn't break. So it'll break in the hospital. And you hope that anyway. Some people's water will break and then they'll have it fast. But after having the first one, you're like, all right, you're not. She had contractions. I'm like, all right, I'm not this time around. I'm vetted. So I'm not like scared, worried, or in a rush. But I'm like, okay, I'm going to hoop. I went to go hoop. And I'm like, yo, hold my phone. If my wife calls me, she's in labor. Like, let me know. Then I can go. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not as a rush. This time around is more like sports. It's like, all right, cool. If I get a call, I'm ready to go for, to get called up, or I'm ready to be here or there. But no, there's no other time that I can compare to where it's like, oh, you're waiting for a call and you have to go right. It's an emergency. Unless you said you had somebody in a hospital that was sick. Fortunately, lucky for me, like I've never been in that situation where, I'm wait on edge for a call from the hospital or a parent or a friend, or even something great. Only other thing great is like you're waiting for, like, if you're a job promotion, or if you're waiting on, a closing on a house, or like you put a bid in for something. So that's the only other thing that I can compare it to. It's like you're waiting for that call every day. Like, I put my application in, or I put a bid in on this.
Yeah, and you're just waiting for the confirmation.
You're just waiting for the confirmation. Like, oh, I got it. You know what I'm saying? But other than that, there's nothing really in sports that has that quick of a turnaround, or that's an emergency where it's like it has to happen that day. And you're like, all right, I got to go. I got to drop everything and be gone. So, yeah. But this time around, way more at ease than the first time around. First time around, you're just like waiting for, you got bags packed, everything in the car, everything ready. And you're like, all right, we're going as soon as we find it out. This time around, it's like, all right, we got a hotel room near the hospital the first time. This time it's like, all right, we got time to just drive there. We'll just stay at our house and drive there. We got time. You don't want to have a baby in the car, but it might happen. But it's a very slim chance that these quick things, like these things, happen that quickly. So that you have time.
So as a man who's played with some of the best athletes in the world, I distinctly remember after you had win, or your wife had win, that you were thoroughly impressed by her.
Yeah,
Again, you've played with some of the best athletes in the world, but then when you see your wife give birth to your son, you're like, yo, wait a second. This is a whole nother skill set.
These motherfuckers ain't doing that. It's different. Yeah, it's very different, man. It's a war zone in there. There's a lot of eye-opening moments in the hospital before you get there, when you get there, and women, they're different type of warriors, bro. They're unbelievable creatures of how they're able to develop give human life, create it, nurture it, have to breastfeed, so many things, man. But yeah, giving birth or being in a hospital room of watching a birth, it's an experience in its own. It's nothing like anything else you can compare it to. And I think that's some of the points we'll get to later on in the show of why certain people make the remarks they make.
Yeah, I want to get to that quote from Scottie Scheffler in a moment. But, I was thinking, Danny, in this creator era that we're in, I'm surprised, like, when Kai Cenat has a baby, he's probably going to be streaming it, dog.
Streaming it, yeah. Somebody's gonna take it that far. Somebody's gonna take it that far because everything is for the views and for the bread, right? I mean, he gets paid enough to where he don't have to do it on the stream. Somebody else will need to get their name up there. Or
100%.
Like, yo, I want streams. I want to get the bread. And I think some people have done it, I think, on live, if I'm not mistaken. What's Blueface baby mama's name? She raps. Krishan.
Yeah.
I think she was on live when she was in the hospital.
That's
some people
wild
have done
to me.
it. I think Sexy Red. I don't know. If I'm not mistaken, there's been some females that have either been on live right before, or right after, and some during. So they've gone on live, and people do record it. Sometimes they get the highlights and put it out there. But yeah, people get the content, man, and it's big. People want to see it. People love to see it, and they get paid for showing this content. This major, very important part of their lives, and it's it's very intricate. It says intricate. I'm gonna say inclusive, but yeah, you get
it's inclusive. Yeah, they let you in, man. What a world! What a world!
It's a very intimate part of your life, and you let people in on it. And hey, to each his own. No judgment here.
Yeah, no judgment zone. No judgment zone at all. All right, let's get to this quote that really had me thinking, and I'm so curious to hear your response to it. So for those that are listening, for those that are watching, recently, Scottie Scheffler, who's won 3 majors, including 2 Masters, had a quote as it pertains to his success in the world of golf and how he puts it into perspective. Let's hear the quote, and then let's hear from Danny.
I think it's kind of funny. I think I think I said something after the Byron this year about, like, it feels like you work your whole life to celebrate winning a tournament for like a few minutes. It only lasts a few minutes, that kind of euphoric feeling. And to win the Byron Nelson Championship at home, I literally worked my entire life to become good at golf, to have an opportunity to win that tournament. And you win it, you celebrate, get to hug my family, my sister's there. It's such an amazing moment. And then it's like, okay, now what are we going to eat for dinner? Life goes on. Is it great to be able to win tournaments and to accomplish the things I have in the game of golf? Yeah. I mean, it brings tears to my eyes just to think about, because it's literally worked my entire life to become good at this sport, and to have that kind of sense of accomplishment, I think is a pretty cool feeling. To get to live out your dreams is very special. But at the end of the day, it's like, I'm not out here to inspire the next generation of golfers. I'm not here to inspire somebody else to be the best player in the world, because what's the point? This is not a fulfilling life. It's fulfilling from the sense of accomplishment, but it's not fulfilling from a sense of like the deepest, places of your heart. There's a lot of people that make it to what they thought was going to fulfill them in life, and then you get there and all of a sudden you get to number 1 in the world, and then they're like, what's the point? And I really do believe that, because what is the point? You're like, why do I want to win this tournament so bad? That's something that I wrestle with on a daily basis. It's like showing up at the Masters every year. It's like, why do I want to win this golf tournament so badly? Why do I want to win the Open Championship so badly? I don't know, because if I win, it's going to be awesome for about 2 minutes. And then we're going to get to the next week, and it's going to be like, hey, you won 2 majors this year. How important is it for you to win the FedEx Cup playoffs? And it's just like, we're back here again, So we really do. We work so hard for such little moments, and I'm kind of a sicko. I love putting in the work. I love being able to practice. I love getting out to live out my dreams. But at the end of the day, sometimes I just don't understand the point.
Yeah.
Powerful words there from Scottie Scheffler. And I wouldn't do it justice trying to respond to it. I think your perspective here as somebody who's won 3 NBA championships and an NCAA championship can give maybe some perspective to what he says there. So the floor is yours.
I still want to hear your perspective as well. I mean, I'm sure the world would too. But like I said, man, when I was hearing this or listening to it, even before he got to the end, he sounds like the voice of a new parent. He talked about the more important things in life, because parenting is every day. You get that feeling every day. You get to see it every day. You get to live it every day. And that moment of watching your son or your daughter come to the world and give birth. And people say your life changed in an instant, and there's no way for you to experience that unless you have a child and you feel it and you understand it. Like, oh, perspective. Everything changes. How you view the world, how you look at your parents, how you look at your brothers and sisters, how they raised you. So many things change. And I get what he's saying, like partially, but it's not just about the moment. Lasts a lot longer than that. And maybe he said, I can't speak for golf or tennis, the individual sports, but you're a champion. Just like when you hear Jokic, he was like, oh, did anything change when you won an NBA title? No. You get to celebrate, you become the champion, you celebrate, you're remembered for the best in the world for a certain amount of time, and then somebody else is a new champion the next year. The difference is that he's not, I guess, remembering and mentioning. He might come back to this later on in his career and see it differently. You're forever remembered for the rest of your life, and you're forever in history books for being great, for winning this one time. If you win multiple times, you're the greatest. And that's why most people compete. They want to be the greatest. They want to be known as the greatest in the sport, because that's what they watched growing up. That's what they were inspired to do, inspired to be. And if you're just looking at it from a take care of your family standpoint, or take care of, to be able to make good money. Yes, you do make good money. The more you win, the more you'll make. The more you'll make when you're done playing. The bigger picture is, when you're the greatest, you can walk into a room, Michael Jordan, and just command money without having to say anything. Oh, you want me to show up here? I need this type of money. Why? Because I won 6 times and I'm the greatest of all time. Oh, you need me to say some words? Well, I need another couple $1 million. Like, that's the bigger picture, right? When you're known as, not because you can tell people and people view you forever, wherever you go, you're the greatest all time. You make more money each time you win. But when it's all said and done, your resume speaks for itself, whatever next job you become or whatever next job you do. So I think that's part of it that he might be missing. But yes, when you're a champion, you celebrate it. It's short-lived. It's not that short-lived where it's a couple minutes, or it's, we celebrate for the summer. Then you got to get back to work. Yes, you got to get back to work. You got to get the next game. You got to win and more. And some people do celebrate for the rest of their lives. I don't know if you've seen the movie Rush, but that's what comes to mind. The movie Rush is it's like an F1 type car racing type movie. And this guy worked his whole life. He won one, celebrated his whole life, and didn't really care to win. He didn't really care to win many more, but he wasn't remembered as much as the next guy who he competed against, who wanted to keep winning more. Some people do celebrate, but you're as good as your last game. You're as good as your last, people, it is a short-term memory type of world. Like, no matter how much you win, you got to keep winning for people to keep you relevant. Like, you win one championship and then disappear, people are not going to remember you like that, So that's the reason why people keep going. And I get what he's saying. It's like, it's not the end of the world. I still have my kids. I still have to feed them. And if I'd stop playing golf, I had to figure out other things I need to do, and life goes on. So yes, life does go on. But the history books, that's why people do it. And yeah, you may not be doing it to inspire, but without you even trying to inspire, you're doing it in itself, just being you and just trying to be great, which is the next kid is like, maybe your style of play, I want to be like him. I come from where he comes from. And nobody avoids trials and tribulations or adversity. There's going to be a time where you're going to fall, you're going to hit the ground, and how you bounce back, people are going to know your story. And maybe he hasn't gotten that yet. And his words may change if he goes through something. let's say a back injury or something happens where he's not able to play for some time, then he has to come back and win again. That win might be more meaningful. He might celebrate that a lot longer than 2 minutes. And then, you know what? It's like, that guy, he one of the mentally toughest guys we've seen in this sport of the game because of what he's gone through and come back to. And that's how you'll be remembered. That's how you leave your legacy. Obviously, it's with your kids and your children, but it's also what you've done that people seen on the court, the field, the course, and how you bounce back and overcome some adversity and, left your mark. And how many times you've done it over and over again was determine how great you are, which will determine how much money you make when you're old as hell and don't want to do anything.
I think you brought up an interesting viewpoint because he is doing this as an athlete in an individual sport. So there's not necessarily the team camaraderie that you would have had if you were playing on the 2019 Raptors or if you were playing on the 2020 Lakers or the 2014 Spurs. And another element as well for him, yes, even though there are majors, even when you're done with a major tournament, you still have another tournament right after. You could do the Arnold Palmer Invitational, or you could do the Memorial in Columbus, Ohio, and then 2 weeks later you got the British Open or whatever it might be. So I think the fact that golf never necessarily stops, there isn't an official champion. I mean, there is an official championship, but so much of the pomp and circumstance and the pageantry goes towards winning a Masters that the structure of it is a bit different. There's still games to play even after you win the major. So it's kind of different. Like if you win an NBA title, Danny, then you get the whole summer to gloat or to celebrate or to feel good. And then you come back next season. He could win the Masters and have to be back on the course in 2 weeks. So I do think that changes maybe your perspective in general. I still find it fascinating that for him, and I can't judge a man by how he pursues the things in life, because what works for him clearly works for him. He's obviously a very successful golfer. So if the goal is not, we all have different motivations. Like, for example, now I'm thinking of my life. I necessarily don't think about, for me, the reward is how I can celebrate it. So like, and for some people, the reward is just like the daily grind. And we all have different motivating factors. His is just different.
Some people love the process. Yeah. Some people love the process. Some people, you really want to celebrate it with your closest friends and family. And another point is that I can't speak on too much because I never played an individual sport and been the best of it. You said it's a quick turnaround to get to another, but I feel like, to me, if I was in an individual sport, it'd hold more weight and more importance because I don't need to share with anybody. You know what I'm saying? So like, it wasn't like I was, you see Chuck and Shaq talking about, you wasn't the bus driver. You was on the passenger seat or you were in the back of the bus. Like you didn't drive the bus. Like those guys probably get more credit than the role players do or the guys at the end of the bench. Every piece matters from 1 through 15 because even in practice and going through walkthrough, those guys matter. But it's harder to me. I could imagine it's harder to me for guys that didn't play to celebrate it for the guys that were playing and starting or in rotation or the superstar player, and they get more recognition for winning. But we still have to share it. It's different than being the number one golfer in the world or the number one tennis player in the world, where it's just you standing alone.
So one of the things that you pointed out is he sounds like somebody who's a parent. And obviously you're getting ready for baby number 2. I'm curious, Danny, how does your NBA career differ in the quality of its experience or maybe in its results if you had kids while you're an active player?
I actually, I'm going to say I talk about this often, but it comes up all the time. And I'm glad I waited because it does change you. And I think it also changes according to what you have. You have a son or a daughter. Either way, I think it mainly softens you, especially in today's world. You might lose your competitive edge. You don't look at sports as the end. Like I was looking at sports as the end all be all. You're like, oh, it's a game, man. You might lose that hunger. You might lose that chip on your shoulder. Or it might put you into gear 5 where you're like, I got to feed this kid. I need to make sure I'm in it every day. You might get more hungry. I think it depends on the place in life you're in. And when I had him, I was in a place where I was very at ease in what I've accomplished, and I didn't have much else to prove. So when I had him, it was like, there's bigger things more important in life than sports, than basketball. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I get this loose, if I want to hoop, that's why it was easier for me to be at peace and retire and not like I want to keep coming. I need to I want to go out on my terms. I have nothing left to prove, man. I got my kids. I did what I was supposed to do. I left my mark on the game. I made good money doing so. I'll move on to the next thing. And the next thing is great and all, whether I want to be great at it as well. The competitive nature of me, whatever I do, I want to be good at it. But it's nothing like being a parent and, holding the baby or taking care of your family and being there for them. So yeah, those things come to mind all the time of when you're talking about timing and thinking of how would I have been as a young dad. But I watch other sports, and so we have friends that play other sports, and we have a volleyball friend that comes in town here and there, does the sand volleyball, and his partner had a daughter, and he's like, I could already see he's losing his edge. He's softening up on me. You know what I'm saying? So it's just one of those things where it can really change the trajectory of your professional or sports career because your mindset will change. And it could change for the better, could kick you in the gear, but I'd like to think it makes you look at the world very differently, and it definitely softens you up, and you lose some competitive edge, and you're just like, at the end of the day, it's sports. You know what I'm saying? It's not life or death. It's not, obviously I want to feed my family, but I'll find other ways to do that. But I think it softens you when you do have a little one.
Interesting perspective. I wish we could go some more deep into it, but I do want to touch on some other subjects as well. All right. So today is Wednesday, July 16th. This weekend, we have the WNBA All-Star Game, and Caitlin Clark, who declined to join the NBA All-Star Weekend three-point competition, is going to do it for the WNBA game. However, she did suffer a groin injury on Tuesday night as her team took on the Connecticut Sun in a sold-out TD Garden, selling out on the road. She suffered a groin injury. I do not know her status as of yet for tonight's game against the New York Liberty. And I mentioned Caitlin Clark because we all know that she is a ratings and media magnet, point blank, period. There's no other way around it. And I say that also because of her impact also potentially in the new CBA discussions that are going to happen between the WNBA and the WNBA players. During this All-Star Weekend in Indianapolis this weekend, they are set to have a discussion. Breanna Stewart, one of the best players in the W, star for the New York Liberty, was quoted as saying that she expects the talks between the players and WNBA Commissioner Kathy Engelbert to be, quote unquote, spicy. Danny, the players can opt out after this year. There's also the unrivaled league, the 3-on-3 league that many of the star players in the W play in, maybe as a way to give themselves some buffer room if they decide to have a work stoppage. It's very much in play. The WNBA players are looking for more of a revenue share and more perks, one would presume. And then obviously the WNBA, still a league that is in the red. But yes, they are experiencing growth that is undeniable. They just introduced the Portland Fire yesterday. There are 2 new expansion teams that will be coming up as well. So the league is growing again. The ratings are upticking, but because of historically not doing financially well as a league, they're still trying to climb back up. It's a healthy balance between making sure the women feel respected that are growing the game, but also making sure you're taking financial responsibility for where you're coming from. It's a catch-22 both ways. I don't know what's going to happen here, Danny, but I think all of this is very fascinating to see how it's going to play out. And I do not think that Caitlin Clark missing more games, which is definitely on the table now after suffering another groin injury, doesn't help. She's clearly somebody who is driving ratings for the WNBA. And if she's not around, it does, one would presume, hurt their leverage. Maybe Kathy Engelbert will say, while we're doing well, we still haven't gotten to the point where we're drawing, we don't have multiple ratings drivers yet. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But I don't have all of the intel, but I do know this. is going to be fascinating to see. And I hope there isn't a work stoppage.
I think we're all in agreement there. Nobody wants to see it stop. I do see a lockout probably coming, because even though we know they're in the red, I don't know if they know, or they don't care and they don't see it. Some of them do, some of them don't. They just know what's happening. They know what they deserve, which we all agree they deserve more money. They deserve to be paid. And they play, they're showing, the numbers are showing they're playing well, they're playing better, numbers are growing, but they're still not there yet. I think this may be a time where Ice Cube gets what he wanted from the jump. He might get a big three on the women's side. And if he's smart, they got the unrivaled. Oh, you're saying during the summer.
If they wanted to, they could extend the unrivaled season.
Possibly.
But you're right. They could also just do a big. If they want to do
or start another league, like another.
Because Big Three does have the CBS. They do have a contract with CBS Sports.
He's tried to pay Caitlin Clark before she even came out, or right when she was coming out of college to play in the Big Three. Big money. There's an opportunity for him to either start his own league for the women's side, or somebody to do it if this happens and if they don't come to agreement, which I think they will at some point. But I think it will start with a lot of bumping heads, and there might be a brief stoppage, which we don't want to see. And that's because I said they deserve more. They're going to want more. And I don't think they care that they're in the red, or they don't see it. I think it's a combination of both. A lot of them may not see it. A lot of them don't care.
A lot of them might say it's not. I'm not paying for other people's sins or other people's. I'm not paying for past failures. I want to be paid for future growth. Which is a legit argument. If I come into a business and y'all wasn't doing well, but now that I'm here, or I'm part of the machine that is doing well, well then, that's on y'all. It's. I don't think either side is wrong, but I don't think either side is going to be 100% right. I do think what happens, Danny. I do think that they eventually just extend the league that Breonna Stewart and Ephesa Collier started, the Unrivaled League that plays in the gym in Miami. I think what happens, because they're very smart. They are very smart. Setting up this league a year in advance and giving it some momentum, and already having they had a TV deal last year with TNT Sports and then Warner Brothers Discovery, for them to already have that infrastructure set in, the foresight to say, yo, we might do a lockout, but we need to have an outlet to play ball so that people still remember us, because we don't want to lose our marketability. I think they could be in it for the long.
Not to have to go overseas. A lot of them just didn't want to go back. It's a way to stay here, because a lot of them have to hustle. They have to play overseas just to stay afloat. But yes, they did this bigger picture thinking ahead, like a very smart way. So they can grow that, they can make it bigger, they can make it better, and they're basically telling the W side of things, we might not need you, we don't need you. You know what I'm saying? Like, we could figure this out and kind of do it ourselves. Which I said, I just threw Ice Cube out there because he's one of the first to start something in the summertime to where guys can make revenue, and women now, as he did on the women's side, and they did a 3-on-3 thing. But there's so many other opportunities, some other things now that you can do in today's world when it comes to networks and streaming and, getting some things done with starting another league. It was a lot different for when the lockouts happened when I was playing the first couple of years in 2011, 2012. Like back then it was a little bit harder to start leagues or to get networks to come to these women and men can figure out ways to get networks to come to terms on their own if they wanted to. Say the NBA shut down tomorrow. Guys, could somebody big enough
cook up something.
LeBron was like, all right, we're going to start our own league. We'll go to networks. It'd be a lot easier to do in today's world. But hopefully no work stoppage, man. Hopefully they keep hooping. Hopefully they can come to terms, and everybody, I wouldn't say it's going to be super happy, but people are comfortable. There's always a deal where you're like, especially like I talked earlier, when you put a bid in for a job or or an application or a pay raise, you may not get the full raise, but it's like, all right, they're comfortable giving up this number. It's like, all right, I'm comfortable selling or buying at this number, and they're comfortable selling at this number. It's like, I wanted to get it cheaper. I'd rather buy it cheaper, but I'm okay with this. And they're probably like, damn, I wanted more. I wanted to sell at more, but they're like, I'm okay with getting this. So hopefully they land at that number.
Well, I do think, one of the things that the WNBA has had problems with is that there just hasn't been enough roster spots. We've seen people who get drafted not make rosters because, frankly, there's just not enough teams. As I mentioned, the Portland Fire are coming back to the WNBA. The Toronto Tempo will be a new team in the WNBA, and I believe it was Philadelphia who got approved for a WNBA team as well. So we're starting to see expansion teams coming, and obviously with an expansion team to join the WNBA, you got to pay some money. So money is coming in, obviously, with the league's growth. You obviously have the TV deal that they just signed. So there's opportunities, and I do think as well there's definitely a growing advertising budget that will be coming to the WNBA as more and more women enjoy and celebrate women's sports. More and more products geared towards women will be on the marketplace, which I would expect the WNBA to fully reap the rewards from. If I'm the players, hey, bruh, I know we're in the red, but that money is coming. Bet on us. Because but we can't necessarily pay for things that were not financially fluid in the past. Because as a player, this is what I would say as a player, my earning potential is only so limited. I only have so many years that I can earn money. I'm not trying to pay for other people's or other past mistakes. You as a league, because we're growing, will eventually be solvent. You'll eventually get out of the red. I'm not paying for you to get out the red. Pay me what I'm worth now. The league is going to be going on for hundreds of years after I'm gone. I only have 5, 6, 7, 10 years to get that money now. I want the money now. That would be my stance if I was one of the ladies. And if I wouldn't say it publicly, if I was one of the people running things for WNBA, I'd be like, damn, you got a good point.
I want it now.
You know what I'm saying? Absolutely not.
Yes, hopefully.
So y'all mistakes is y'all mistakes, but it's not mine.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
The league goes on years to come. We don't know. But when business is business, all I can say is good luck, because you just never know how it's going to go. And you know how stubborn some people are at the top are. And they may just be like, nope, we're not doing, so yeah. They have the power, they have the bread, they have, so it's them making decisions. So best of luck. And I hope it does continue. And I hope the league does continue for years on to come. The power struggle shall be fascinating to see. I would love to be a fly on the wall for some of those conversations. All right, let's get to the last thing here, and won't spend too much time on it because, Danny, when it comes to this topic, I don't know what's real and what's not. You have the situation with LeBron James and the Los Angeles Lakers. As it presently stands, LeBron James is a Laker. And if you asked me a year ago if LeBron James was going to retire as a Laker, I would have said, yeah, for sure. And now, Danny, I just don't know anymore. There's a legit chance that Shams Charania said that LeBron might play another 2-3 years. Remember, Bryce is a freshman at Arizona. I know you shake your head when you hear that, but without injury, it seems like he definitely could, if he so chooses to. Now, I was trying to figure, and I think you and I were puzzled when we heard all of this commotion between LeBron and the Lakers, and we were trying to really, I'm like, why? Why is there commotion? You're getting paid over $50 million. The team, obviously, yes, they went for Luka, but obviously they value you. This is the Lakers. They value their stars. If there's anything else, they probably over-index on taking care of their stars. And then it was pointed out, I believe, I want to say it was the Zach Lowe podcast, but they brought up an interesting point where essentially this is the first time in LeBron's career where he doesn't necessarily have control because
he only opted into 1 year. It wasn't like then he opted out, got a 2-year deal with the player option in year 2. He's truly, really and truly a free agent at the end of next season. And while teams will go out and get him in this new hard cap second apron era, clearing out $50 million plus for a player, even if it's LeBron, is a risky investment. And we also know we don't know for sure, but it's pretty much believed that LeBron wants to get paid top dollar, not just because he feels like he deserves it, which he does. If he wants it, he can definitely get it. But LeBron wants to be an owner as well. The best way to make sure he can own a team, get as much money as possible as a player. So, yes, LeBron, I get if he wanted to, I guess you could take the minimum contract. He's made enough money.
And he makes a good amount off the court as well.
But there is something to be said for, I want as much ownership of a team that I buy. And in order to, while I don't need an extra $40 million, I can definitely use an extra $40 million by taking my max out there. Again,
anybody can use an extra $40 million. Trust me.
Anybody can use an extra $40 million. So it's I don't know what's going to happen. I do know, according to Bovada, one of the sports books out there, the Mavericks are now the favorite to land LeBron if he does leave the Lakers. I don't know what's going to happen. I do find it all very interesting.
It is very interesting, man. I said we won't spend too much time on it. I still believe he's not going anywhere. I think he's retiring a Laker. It's about 2 or 3 more years. I want to say impossible, but you just never, with him, he always makes the impossible possible, which is crazy. But at 41 years old and then being a free agent still in year 23, that sounds ridiculous. And then looking for a 2 or 3, another 2-year deal, that sounds absurd.
2-year deal with the player option on the back end, bro.
This is bizarre. This is bizarre for 40-year-olds, but he does unbelievable, impossible type shit. So, like, he deserves to be paid, but you can't. It's hard to say I want to be paid this much, and also I want to win too. That's hard to figure out. To get a guy at 40-something years old and pay him 50, 60 million, and then surround you with the pieces that we need to do and have the money to do so.
It's a tough roster build.
That's damn near impossible. That's more impossible than it is for Bron to say, I can play 2-3 more years. But like, we're going to pay you 50, 60 million, and we're going to surround you with all the pieces you need to win another championship. That's where it becomes real tricky.
Yeah. But and I think that's maybe, if he had a beef with the Lakers, I think that's probably where it lands. Like, he probably comes to the realization the Lakers might not want me after this year is over.
Well, they said
that's probably a very hard pill to swallow if you're LeBron James. It's probably the first time in his career where he's like, now let's not get it twisted. The Lakers will happily take LeBron back after the season.
It's not at the money.
But at the money that LeBron wants, they probably are like, probably not, bruh. And we want you here, but we can't realistically build a championship contender around you and Luka if we're paying you top dollar. Our risk, the amount of risk that they would be taking on LeBron is not worth it, in my opinion, as great as he is.
I think a lot of people's opinion is that. Yes, a lot of people's opinion is that, and I think that's the first time in his career where he's wanted, but not at the price, and that's where it's eye-opening for him, and not just in Lakerland, but a lot of places. So yeah, that's where. I
mean, I'm a Knicks fan, Danny, and I wouldn't take LeBron for more. I wouldn't take him for this year and this year only. I wouldn't take him going forward. And I obviously I admit I think LeBron.
It's a risk. Yeah,
it's too risky.
But it's a risk to get a 40-year-old at 50, 60 million to gamble everything on 1 year. It's not like you're getting a young 22, 25-year-old Kawhi, 27-year-old Kawhi. And, you know what I'm saying? It's like we can probably talk him into and he's in his prime. Mind you, he's an all NBA player and he plays unbelievable. And, he probably can give you 70 games out of 82. But this is a totally different situation for a 41-year-old. And if you're the Lakers, the other reason is we already got Luka now. We got a guy that can replace you. Like,
we got a guy who can carry. We got a guy who can drive the bus.
Yeah. So when you're gone, but yeah, it is interesting. But I'm not believing it till I see it. It's just like the Luka thing. LeBron's a Laker. He's gonna retire a Laker with Bronny there. I don't see him leaving Bronny or leaving LA anytime soon. Even if he's an owner, he might own a team, but he's staying in LA. I just don't see him going nowhere. But yeah, it's going to be very interesting. And if something does happen, there's not much shocks me in the world, but I'll be pretty shocked.
Yeah, it's, heavy is the head that wears the crown. And I'm not saying that Rob Pelinka is a crown wearer, but like how he's going to have to manage that relationship is...
Yes. He's on eggshells.
You get paid the big because you got because you're on eggshells. You're on eggshells. You've basically
thin ice, buddy.
Because you got to get this thing right with Luka, of course, because he's gonna be around for a long time, or should be, or you hope he will be. But you got to get this thing right with LeBron too, because it's not just LeBron. It's how most modern NBA players think LeBron is the GOAT. So how you treat LeBron matters. How you treat Rich Paul and Clutch, who has a lot of staying power in the agent game, matters too, as much as you still have to cater to Luka. Man, listen.
You're trying to manage both those egos at the same time.
Good luck.
Yeah, good luck. But
should be fascinating. If anything happens with one LeBron James, of course we will be back to discuss it with you on this episode, on another episode of Inside the Green Room. But until then, friends, Danny, tell them what to do.
Read, rate, subscribe, review. Peace.